guys, thank you for choosing Awkward Unboxing. Today in this video, what we're going to be talking about is whether or not you should buy Borderlands 2 for your PS Vita. Now, when I saw this game coming out for PS Vita, I thought that was pretty sweet that we were going to be able to take Borderlands 2 on the go wherever we go. But it did get a pretty bad rating, so I was just really unsure if I wanted to get it or not. But if you don't remember, I did do the unboxing of the Borderlands 2 PS Vita Slim Bundle about 2 weeks ago, so I ended up getting it anyways because it came with the PS Vita. Now, I want to talk about it because when I got the Borderlands 2 PS Vita Slim Bundle, it takes up the full 8GB memory card that it came with. So in the end of the video, you guys are going to find out if I chose to keep it or to get rid of it. So without further ado, guys, let's get started.
Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get started with this, what I like to call semi-review. So we're going to first start off by talking about, let's just go ahead and start off with graphics. Now, the graphics are, I would say, pretty damn good for the PS Vita. Definitely not as good as the console or the PC version, but they're pretty damn impressive for a handheld device. They're definitely dumbed down a little, but that does not affect my opinion on the graphics. I think for the handheld, they are perfect. Doesn't need to get any better, doesn't need to get any worse, and I doubt it could get any better because the game is already struggling a little bit with the FPS. So that is what I think about the graphics. Let's move on to the next subject. Alright guys, so we are going to move on to the next subject, and what I want to talk about is about the FPS that you experience in the game, the frames per second. So a big thing that everyone was hating on the game for was the frames per second. Now, I got the game pretty late, about a year later, so they definitely have fixed it a lot. I've heard compared to when it first came out, but it is definitely still noticeable that the FPS does drop quite a bit. But once again, in my opinion, it doesn't affect it too much. I kind of feel like it might have made me feel a little sick when I was playing, just seeing it lag, all the time. Every once in a while, I would hit a smooth spot where it would run at a decent FPS, but for the most part, it probably runs at 25 to 30 FPS. Sometimes it would drop down to 20. It would definitely drop down to 20, especially if you entered Sanctuary. That's where it got pretty low, but like I said, they have fixed it tremendously, and it's not as bad as it used to be. But that's probably the part where you're going to get the most lag in the game, but other than that, it stays at a constant 25 to 30 FPS throughout the whole game. But that's just a preference. If you can put up with 20 FPS, 25 FPS, then this game will be no problem whatsoever. But if you're really picky on your FPS, your frames per second, then you might want to move elsewhere and just avoid this game. So anyways, guys, let's move on to the next subject. Alright, guys, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the menu. Now, a lot of people were saying that it's not very responsive. And, I honestly didn't find it a big deal at all. It's not as responsive as I would like it to be, but it's not to the point where I don't enjoy it. It gets me around, it does the job, and that is really all I have to say about the menu. So let's go ahead and move on to the next. Okay, so really quickly, I just want to say about one thing, and it's about how the enemies die. They do explode in this game, but you know what? I don't see anything wrong with that. I know why they did it. They did it so that when the enemy does die, it disappears instead of just lay on the ground, which would make it lag even more. But I don't see anything wrong with it. I personally like it. So yeah, let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so really quickly, we'll talk about the loading times. As you can see right here, they're okay. They're not the fastest, but they're not the slowest. It's usually about 30 to 40 seconds every time it loads. Just really depends on where you're going. So let's go ahead and move on to the next subject. So we'll go ahead and talk about the glitches in the game. Now, I've come across two glitches. One glitch was me trying to get into Sanctuary. One of the guys wasn't going to the button or something, so I had to restart it, and then it worked. And another glitch was I was trying to find, I think, a recording of a captain or something, and I couldn't find the recording. I was right where it said it was supposed to be, but there was no recording. So once I restarted the game, there it was. So yeah, the glitches aren't too bad, but they are there. So let's go ahead and move on to the next subject. Okay, so really quickly, we're going to talk about the controls on the PS Vita. Now, the controls, in my opinion, are good. The only problem is the rear touchpad is used for sprinting and to melee. Sorry about that. Which can get pretty uncomfortable, but I mean, once you get used to it, it's all right. It's not really a pain in the neck, but at first it can be a little annoying. But other than that, all the controls are really good. I mean, and there's just really nothing we can do about the L2 and R2. That's always going to be on the back touchpad, so it's not the game's fault. But anyways, guys, let's move on to the next subject. Alright guys, so another thing would be that I've been hearing people complain that the enemies on a screen per time is reduced a lot, so you'd only see like 1, 2, 3 enemies. But in my opinion, I don't find that a problem. I've one time had like 6 enemies on a screen. That's plenty enough. I don't need 20 enemies on a screen. So that didn't affect the game whatsoever, so don't even worry about that. So let's move on to the next thing. Alright guys, so you're probably wondering what I decided to do, if I kept it or if I got rid of it. Now, what I ended up doing is I ended up getting rid of it. And the reason is because it did take up the 8GB memory card that my PS Vita came with. And if you all know, the PS Vita memory cards are very expensive. A 32GB memory card can go from anywhere from $60 to $80, which is ridiculous. And I'm really enjoying the indie games on the PSN market. So what I ended up doing is getting rid of Borderlands 2, just so I can fit in other indie games on my PS Vita. One indie game I have is Don't Starve, which is a great indie game. I recommend it 100%. And the one indie game I'm going to get right now is going to be Guacamole. I've heard it's a great game. It looks really cool, so I'm going to go ahead and download that right now. But with that being said, I'm not saying don't get the game, but I don't think you should pay full price for this game. I don't find that it's worth it, in my opinion, with the lag and pretty much just that. So, just that. But other than that, I think it's a good game. I don't think it's a horrible game. It's pretty much Borderlands 2, just compacted to play on a portable device. I think if you can get a good deal on it, then I would just jump right on it and get it. And not only that, if you get a good deal on it, make sure you have the memory to download the game, or unless you're getting the disc. But anyways, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you later.
Alright guys, so that is the final verdict of my decision to keep Borderlands 2 or to get rid of it. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up button. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I hope you guys have a good New Year's, and I will see you in 2015.